Howdy YouTube. Today we're taking a look at the Jax UFC from Tough Enough 10, Kimbo Slice. Now, in addition to reviewing this guy, I also want to talk a little bit about Bellator 138, the battle between Kimbo and Ken Shamrock. If you don't want any spoilers about the fight or the other fights that were on the card, then skip ahead to when I take a look at the back of the packaging. But the spoilers are pretty much going to start from now. What a really cool fight to watch. For those who didn't see it or who have seen it, you'll know this was promoted as really a super fight. And whilst it wasn't a 3-round or 5-round slugfest, which would have been awesome, it was still really, really great. Now, Kimbo Slice, 41. Ken Shamrock, I think, is 50. So they're both kind of older guys, which means you're not going to get the same pace as you get with your younger, in particular, UFC fighters. However, the fight started with a bang. Ken Shamrock comes out, got a really great central reference position, landing quite a few knees on Kimbo. They separate. Ken Shamrock gets the takedown, locks in a solid rear naked choke. It looked really tight. Kimbo looked like he was struggling, rolled on his back, and when they rolled up, I really thought Kimbo was done for. The choke was in real tight. It looked like a combination of Kimbo powering out and rolling out of it, and Ken trying to readjust and tighten the choke that provided the opportunity for Kimbo. He got up and basically just started punching the crap out of Ken Shamrock. Big right hand knocks Ken down. And then the referee, John McCarthy, stopped the fight. So really awesome. I thought Kimbo did really well. He's not known as being one of the best MMA fighters. Certainly a fantastic street fighter from his YouTube career, which you can look up for yourself. Or where I really liked him was in the Tough Enough series with Rampage Jackson. One of the funniest things is when they're picking teams, Rampage picks Kimbo. He's all hyped about Kimbo, picks all these guys, and then he pretty much didn't win any fights that whole season. But Kimbo ended up getting a couple shots against people like Matt Mitrione. And did already won one of his UFC fights and then lost the other one, went back to boxing. But his fights weren't that great. He wasn't considered a really good MMA fighter. He redeemed himself to me this time. Why? Because in the past, normally when he goes to the ground, he's got nothing. At least this time, he was able to get out of the rear naked choke. And that was for a combination of reasons, Ken adjusting for the position and things like that. But still, a really impressive effort. It's going to be interesting to see where Kimbo goes from here. Well done, Bellator, putting on a pretty awesome fight. And to his credit, Ken Shamrock, the most dangerous man on the planet, no doubt. Just such a beast to be 50 years old and still going in the cage. Takes a lot of guts. Now, good chance he did it for the money, yes. But he did really well to take Kimbo down really with ease, land a lot of great knees, which was awesome to see, and then lock in that submission where really I thought it was all over for Kimbo. So a very impressive fight, very entertaining fight. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. Now, taking a look at the actual figure, he does come in the standard Phase 1 UFC octagon-style packaging. As you can see there on the top, Tough Enough. It's not Tough Enough, that's the WWE show. The Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter Series 10, where the coaches were, of course, Rashad Evans, Sugar Rashad, and Quinton Rampage Jackson. One of my favorite series of the UFC show. Pretty much, for me, I loved it because it was an all-heavyweight series. There were some great fights. There were also some awful fights. Kimbo didn't do too well in that show, only having one fight. He basically got eliminated after one fight against Roy Nelson, who basically just laid on top of him and didn't really do anything, which was really disappointing. But still, really cool that we got a Kimbo Slice figure. Not something I was ever expecting from the UFC toy line. There's certainly a lot of other fighters that I would have expected we would have got before him. For example, people like Gabriel Gonzaga or just some of the Chael Sonnen and other big-name actual UFC fighters. But we ended up getting Kimbo, and it worked out well, especially with the recent Bellator fight. So let's get this guy opened and hopefully give you a cool review. Taking a look at the back of the packaging, we see that in the time that they took this shot on the back and then they actually produced the figure, they decided to add in some chest hair on Kimbo. A really cool looking figure, if I'm honest. I think it's great that we did end up getting a Kimbo. The detail on this guy is very unique and something very different. So that to me is very exciting. Other figures in the set, of course, this being Series 4 means we get the Man, Don Fry, Vanderlei Silva, Rich Franklin, Matt Hughes, Sean Shirk, and Jamie Vardner. So some great UFC fighters there. In particular, check out my review on Don Fry and Vanderlei Silva. They're two really, really awesome figures. It does say Kevin Kimbo Slice Ferguson. Fights out of Miami, Florida. 6'2", so he's a big guy, and then 212 pounds, only 96 kilos. So you look at this guy, and he's just a specimen. Like you look at Cain Velasquez, and he's a big guy, but he's not ripped. You look at Brock Lesnar, heavyweight, 265, built. You look at Kimbo Slice, to be only 96 kilos, he was built, still is built. He's just a tank, a really impressive looking, menacing fighter. So let's get this guy opened up. Okay, and here we have Kimbo opened up and out of packaging. I'll bring it forward so you guys can take a look at the face. I think Jax did a really good job on this guy. Sometimes I find it's a real hit and miss with the WWE and also the UFC figures. Sometimes they absolutely nail it. Take the Junior Dos Santos or the Cain Velasquez, just running through heavyweight figures. And then you get some real misses like Minotauro Nogueira. With Kimbo Slice, I think they actually did a really good job on nailing the face. Now, he does come with a removable beanie, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that face. It definitely does look like Kimbo. What I think is really interesting from watching The Ultimate Fighter is he's such like a bad, tough dude that you wouldn't want to mess with. But then he comes across as just this really friendly, nice guy. So I think that's a really good contrast and comparison. I think they did a good job with the face sculpt. I'm not sure what the heck this is at the back. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the face turned out. Moving down, the great thing about the Kimbo figure that makes him very different to a lot of the other UFC figures is he's got quite a bit of detail that makes him very unique. So obviously here we get the shaved chest hair, which is a nice addition. We get the trademark spiderweb tattoo. There's some tattoos on the side, on the arms there. You must love spiders because there's more cobwebs on the side there. What's it say over here? No something, it looks like. I'm not too sure what that is. If any of you guys know what Kimbo Slice's tattoos are, feel free to let me know in the comments. And then taking a look at the back, more spider webs. So pretty cool. The one thing I really like about this is the trunks. We don't get too many white trunk UFC figures. The Frank Mir single-carded release was an example. But this one comes with some great detail from the Tough Enough show. I keep saying Tough Enough. It's the TUF logo that triggers it from the Ultimate Fighter. Ultimate Fighter. And it's funny because I've never actually watched Tough Enough. So, anyway. Pretty cool there. Nice detail on the trunks. And then taking a look at the back, we see Tap Out. And then the other side, the Ultimate Fighter logo. So, pretty cool. I don't remember him actually having the white trunks. From memory, I thought he wore black. But again, I could be wrong. Maybe one of his UFC fights, or in the finals or something, he wore the white. But from memory, it was black for Rampage Jackson's team, and then the yellow and gold for Rashad Evans. But yeah, really awesome figure, great detail. I love that he comes with the beanie. It's such a little not, I don't want to say silly accessory, but it's not an accessory that, you know, I was expecting to get. Looks a little bit silly there, if I'm honest. But you know what I mean? Why complain? So I'm pretty happy with that. Just for comparison, I'll bring in here Brock Lesnar. You can see he scales really well with all the other figures. Pretty much the exact same body mold as all the other UFC figures. So if you get a chance, no questions, I think it's actually worth picking up. Even if you're not a fan of Kimbo, it's such a cool figure. And now with him winning against Ken Shamrock at Bellator 138, it's probably a good time to pick this guy up. Hopefully there's some more fights in the future for this guy, and hopefully he can put on some more entertaining shows. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed this review on the Jax UFC Series 4 Kimbo Slice.